Hello, everyone. I'm here with AFSCME Local 199 President CC Brown. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. As everyone knows, we're currently in the middle of negotiations now for the new contract.
Yes,
So we have a few questions for you. First of all, are there any supplements for any classifications that are being brought up?
absolutely. There are, as you guys know or may not know, during the last contract negotiations, we were successful in obtaining supplements for different classifications because of the type of work that they do, the type of hazardous conditions that they work in, and different things of that sort. So this year, we wanted to expound on what those different classifications were or add different classifications into the provisions of those articles. So just giving you like a brief overview, excuse me. We've created a salary supplement that we've proposed for folks that work in the solid waste department that are assigned to work in landfills, our scale house operators, our landscape technicians, welders, multiple classifications. I can't name them all now, but there are quite a few classifications that we've proposed supplements for because of the type of hazard material that they come in contact with by working on landfill. We also propose that we increase the current 3% salary supplement that our waste enforcement officers receive. We propose for that to be increased to 5%. Particularly because of the type of work that they do with the investigations. They go into the different trash piles throughout the county and they go through it to kind of like investigate and see who's the person that's been illegal dumping and different things of that sort. They have to take a special type of certification and training to do this job, in biohazardous materials and different things of that sort. We also created proposals for our folks that work over in the internal services department, particularly our folks that works in the trade shops. They are responsible and tasked with going out to the different areas to do repairs and different things of that sort. And they work in highly contagious areas with pathogens and contaminants and different things of that sort. We also look to give a salary supplement for our custodial worker twos that's in the the corrections department, excuse me. Those folks now have to go through a certain type of training because of the type of, bodily fluids and different things that they come in contact with by being mechanics or custodial workers, cleaning the cells and different things of that sort. So, OSHA guidelines requires them to have a certain type of certification. And for that certification, we work with the department to create a type of supplement that'll give them 2 pay steps for the type of work that they do. We also look to increase the contribution that the county gives to our folks that are lifeguards over in Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Right now, presently, they get a 1 pay step salary supplement for being CPR certified and different things of that sort. Whereas when you compare it to the collective bargaining agreement for the firefighters union, which is local 1403, there are folks who have to go through the same certification and training as our men and women in this lifeguard classification. They receive a pay increase of 19% over their pay rate. So we propose that same type of supplement for our folks here. We have different supplements. It'll be a lot for me to name, but we did send out an email and a Facebook post so that everyone can kind of drive themselves to the Facebook page as well as the email where it talks about all the different things that we propose as it relates to supplements.
Okay, and now in the last contract, you were very successful in changing a lot of the language in certain articles that benefited the employees and members more. Was that something that you had to work on this time as well?
That's actually a very good question. So, a lot of folks think that when you negotiate a contract, the most important thing is economics. On the contrary, I always say that what's money without having good contract language, right? So, yes, to answer your question, we were successful in changing the contractual language where it was more beneficial to our members. But this year, again, we wanted to expound on what those different language and articles would be. So we did make a couple of changes, not much because it was so much that we, obtained and won through the last set of contract negotiations. So this contract, we didn't have to do too much language cleanup, but we did make a few edits. We've incorporated language that specifically talks about how overtime is to be distributed. The proposal now, as it reads, will say that overtime will be distributed on a rotational basis by seniority, which is what the current practice is. But you and I know that sometimes departments don't go by the necessary practice of the county, and we have to file grievances and things of that sort. And to make it much more easier for the member, we just decided that we would take this opportunity to address that. We also talked about giving folks the opportunity to have the overtime hours that they work to be banked instead of paid, right? Because some folks genuinely like for that time to be put into annual leave so they can save it at a later date to take vacation and different things of that sort. We added in some added protections for our folks over in the part-time classifications of AFSCME Local 199 to give them the opportunity and the right to promote into a full-time job if they so desire. And then we also talked about services to the union, for the county to keep us more abreast with how many members that we have that are part-time, how many hours they work, different things of that sort, and supplying the union with a list of those hours and those workers so that we can keep an eye on it and make sure that the county is following the stipulations of the collective bargaining agreement and ultimately transitioning those folks into full-time jobs. One thing that I actually want to go backwards on, one supplement that we did bargain for, or that we are in the midst of bargaining and have proposed, is to increase the 4C salary supplement, which is that $70 every 2 weeks that folks get, full-time employees receive. We proposed to increase that to $100, but then we also did a kind of universal proposal as it relates to incentivizing folks who have been working through the pandemic. We have some folks in our bargaining unit, like I'm sure other folks in Miami-Dade County, but just speaking for AFSCME Local 199, that have been required to work since the height of the pandemic up until now. And when I say work, I mean these folks have never been given the opportunity to have a work from home scenario, right? They've been required to come into work day in and day out, pound the pavement, hustle and bustle, make sure that the mayor's initiatives are followed through, are complied with by the constituents of Miami-Dade County, as well as making sure that they do their everyday, day-to-day job. And we've had folks that's contracted COVID because of this. Some folks have had folks that's actually lost their life to this disease and different things of this sort. So we thought about creating or proposing something where it captures all of those folks and give them the recognition that they deserve, and most importantly, the pay, because they are our true frontline heroes that's been working day in and day out since this pandemic. And if you guys may or may not recall, the only folks that got this type of incentivized pay was the folks that are in police and fire, correctional officers, as well as bus drivers. There was no recognition or anything done for the rest of the county workforce that, had to work through these times without an option. So that was the heart and the spirit of that proposal.
Yes, it's been a very difficult year, so we're very happy that you're putting in these initiatives. What state are the contract negotiations at right now?
Okay, so the state of the contract negotiations, and I'm going to say this because we've received a lot of phone calls from folks who got the mayor's memorandum or may have seen the BCC, the Board of County Commissioners memo, and different things of that sort. We have submitted several proposal items to Miami-Dade County, of which the county has only given us maybe 3 proposals, if that. One of them being the cost of living proposal, okay? Initially, the county gave us a proposal of a 0-1-1. So what that means is it was no raise in year 1 of the contract. It was a 1% raise in year 2 of the contract and a 1% raise in year 3 of the contract. They proposed this to us, and I felt like I almost lost my mind when I got their proposal, particularly because, again, our men and women, not taken away from any credit of any other bargaining unit or any other Miami-Dade County employee, but specifically speaking for our men and women, we represent, in some cases, some of the least paid county workers, and not all, but in some cases. And our folks, regardless of what their monetary pay structure is, have been working since the pandemic, have been working in the Surfside disaster, right? And it was offensive to me as the leader of Local 199 for the county administration to say that the hard work that these employees have put out was only good for a 2% raise over the course of 3 years. It was offensive, and it was something that we were not going to accept. And I verbally stated that through our contract negotiations. We, on the other hand, proposed a 5% across the board incentive, a 5% in year one COLA, which is a cost of living adjustment, a 5 in year two COLA, and a 5 in year three COLA. The county just last bargaining session, which was this past Tuesday, they proposed a 2% bonus in year one. And when I say bonus, a bonus is exactly what it is. It is not anything that is credited towards your retirement. It is not anything that goes into your pay. It is a one-time 2% bonus monetarily that you will receive upon ratification of the contract, okay? In year two, there is a 3% cost of living increase that will be given to the employees. In year three, they offered a 3% cost of living increase. Initially, the proposal stated that none of the raises, which is the COLAs, would be retroactive back to the first pay period of October, which is traditionally what every administration has done, right? So when they presented this proposal to me at the last bargaining session, it was another one of those moments where I almost hit the roof because, again, it's not the fault of the union, and most importantly, it is not the fault of any of the county workers for the county to not give them retroactivity on the COLAs. Particularly, we did not cause the pandemic. We did not cause the Surfside disaster. And we have not refused to meet with any county official or administration in regards to negotiating this contract. We've always been ready and able at the county's whim to meet with them to discuss contract negotiations and try to bargain the successor contract. So it was no reason why the county would, in good faith, not give us retroactive payments on our raises if that's something that traditionally every administration has always done. Happily to say, I was advised by our brother local, which is AFSCME Local 3292 Solid Waste, that yesterday during their session, the county administration stated that, because of the issue that I brought up about it being retro, that they were changing their position and they were offering the raises in a retroactive manner. So that was something that was very good for us. That was one of the proposals that they gave us. They haven't gotten back to us on the economicals that we proposed, particularly because we've had quite a few, and we officially finished submitting those economics last negotiation session, which was this past Tuesday.
Okay, thank you very much. And is there anything else you wanted to summarize or add to what's going on?
Absolutely. So another thing that we've that's like a hot topic in the bargaining unit is the COVID testing, right? Or the mandatory vaccination policy. I just want to dispel all rumors. There is no mandatory vaccination policy that the county is implementing or trying to implement. On the contrary, what they are trying to do is to mandate a testing policy. The union agrees and we identifies that there is an issue with the pandemic, right? We understand the health and safety issue with the pandemic, and that the county's trying to be proactive. They're trying to kind of like create a policy that's in line with what the Biden administration did for federal employees. The concerns that Local 199 has with this policy is, how does this violate the rights of the employees to get tested or mandate them to be tested if they choose to not be vaccinated? There's one part of the policy that talks about folks that's on a work from home scenario, right? Where those folks would be mandated to do the weekly testing. And the first thing that came to my head is, well, if they're in the confinements of their home and they're only with their family, like, why would it be beneficial for the county to have them test weekly when they're not coming into a workplace, right? One other thing that was a little glaring to us is the county's position as it relates to this mandatory testing policy from day one was, this is the county's right. We don't have to impact bargain. We can impose this. But there's a part of the contract, not the contract, I'm sorry, the policy that states that if an employee does not weekly test and submit their results or whatever the case may be, that it is a subject for discipline and ultimately termination. So whenever you add in that caveat about it being, subject to discipline or subject to termination, you're essentially changing terms and conditions of employment, which is an automatic subject for bargaining. So the union did not agree to this proposal as is, or this policy as is, but the county did present it to us and our legal team is reviewing it.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Cece, for all the hard work you've been doing for your members, and thank you very much for taking the time out to explain what's going on so far.
And I would just say that I encourage everybody to go to our Facebook page. It's just AFSCME Local 199. You go into the Facebook page, you can keep abreast and updated with all the different progresses and updates of the local. We also have a website, which is www.afscmelocal199.com. You can feel free to call the office at any time at 305-805-1075. And I would encourage everyone to join the monthly membership calls that we have. We conduct it every month. We send out advance notification of these meetings. It's held via Zoom because of the pandemic, and we're going to have them via Zoom until the end of this year. We'll revisit going back to a in-person meeting this upcoming January. So again, I thank you guys for your support and being union members, and I hope everyone stays safe. Take care.